Northwatch Research Base, an Arctic research facility, stands as a beacon of scientific inquiry amidst the desolate and frigid expanse of the North. Established to study climate change and its effects on polar ecosystems, this remote outpost was equipped with state-of-the-art technology and staffed by a dedicated team of researchers eager to unlock the secrets of the Arctic. However, the station's noble purpose was overshadowed by a series of chilling events that would forever alter its legacy. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the icy landscape, an unsettling atmosphere enveloped Northwatch Research Base. The once bustling facility, filled with the sounds of scientific exploration, fell eerily silent, leaving behind an unsettling void that hinted at the mysteries lurking within its walls. The researchers, who had arrived with hopes of making groundbreaking discoveries, vanished without a trace, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a palpable sense of dread. What could have happened to these dedicated scientists? The chilling narrative of Northwatch Research Base unfolds like a dark tale, drawing viewers into a web of suspense and intrigue. As we delve deeper into the story, we uncover the unsettling details surrounding the researchers' disappearance, each revelation more disturbing than the last. Eyewitness accounts speak of strange occurrences, unexplained noises echoing through the night, flickering lights that seem to dance in the darkness, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. These unsettling phenomena raised alarm bells among the remaining staff, who struggled to maintain their composure in the face of mounting fear. The isolation of the Arctic, once a backdrop for scientific exploration, transformed into a haunting reminder of the unknown. As the days turned into weeks, the search for the missing researchers intensified, but the vast, unforgiving landscape offered no clues. The chilling winds howled like mournful spirits, and the icy terrain seemed to conspire against those who dared to uncover the truth. The mystery deepened, captivating the imagination of those outside the station, sparking theories and speculation that spread like wildfire. Was it a tragic accident, or something far more sinister? The unanswered questions lingered in the air, creating an atmosphere thick with tension and uncertainty. As we explore the eerie events surrounding Northwatch Research Base, we invite you to join us on this journey into the unknown. What secrets lie buried beneath the ice? What fate befell the researchers who ventured into the Arctic wilderness? The chilling narrative of Northwatch Research Base beckons, urging us to confront our deepest fears and unravel the enigma that has haunted this remote outpost. Prepare yourself for a tale that intertwines science, mystery, and the relentless pursuit of truth, as we seek to uncover the chilling reality behind the disappearance of the researchers at Northwatch Research Base. The Arctic holds its secrets close, but together, we will venture into the heart of darkness, where the line between reality and the supernatural blurs, and the chilling echoes of the past resonate through the icy silence. The journey to the isolated Arctic research outpost, Northwatch Research Base, was fraught with peril and uncertainty, a true test of human endurance against nature's most formidable elements. As the team set out from their last point of civilization, they were immediately confronted by the harsh Arctic conditions that would define their expedition. The biting cold gnawed at their skin, and the relentless winds howled like a pack of wolves, creating an atmosphere thick with tension. Snowstorms swept across the landscape, reducing visibility to mere feet and transforming the world into a swirling white abyss. Each step forward was a battle against the elements, as the team trudged through deep snowdrifts that threatened to swallow them whole. The frigid temperatures, often plummeting well below freezing, made every breath a struggle, the air sharp and stinging in their lungs. As they navigated the treacherous terrain, the isolation of the Arctic became increasingly palpable. The vast, empty expanse stretched endlessly in every direction, a stark reminder of their remoteness. There were no signs of life, no comforting sounds of civilization, only the eerie silence that enveloped them, broken only by the crunch of snow beneath their boots and the howling wind. The landscape was both beautiful and haunting, with towering ice formations and glistening snow fields that sparkled under the pale light of the sun. Yet, beneath this breathtaking exterior lay an unsettling sense of foreboding, as if the very land itself was watching their every move. As the team drew closer to Northwatch Research Base, an unsettling feeling settled over them, a collective unease that seemed to grow with each passing mile. The station, a solitary structure against the backdrop of the vast Arctic wilderness, loomed ahead like a ghostly apparition. Its dark lines and cold metal exterior stood in stark contrast to the pristine white surroundings, evoking a sense of dread that was hard to shake. The closer they got, the more they could feel the weight of the isolation pressing down on them, a tangible force that seemed to whisper warnings of the unknown. The atmosphere surrounding the station was thick with an unsettling energy, as if the very air was charged with secrets waiting to be uncovered. Shadows danced in the corners of their vision, and the wind carried with it an eerie sound that sent shivers down their spines. It was as if the Arctic itself was alive, a sentient being that held the memories of those who had come before them. The team exchanged nervous glances, each member acutely aware of the growing tension that hung in the air. As they finally approached the entrance of Northwatch Research Base, a sense of foreboding washed over them. The door, slightly ajar, creaked ominously in the wind, inviting them into the unknown. What awaited them inside was a mystery shrouded in darkness, and the team could not shake the feeling that they were stepping into a realm where the boundaries of reality blurred. The harsh Arctic conditions, the isolation, and the eerie atmosphere combined to create a palpable sense of dread, leaving them to wonder if they were truly prepared for what lay ahead. The journey to Northwatch Research Base was not just a physical trek. It was a descent into a chilling narrative that would test their resolve and challenge their understanding of the world around them. As the team finally arrived at Northwatch Research Base, the unsettling silence enveloped them like a thick fog, amplifying the eerie atmosphere that surrounded the research outpost. The exterior of the station, a stark and utilitarian structure, stood resilient against the harsh Arctic elements. Its metal walls, painted a dull gray, reflected the pale light of the sun, creating an almost ghostly appearance against the pristine white landscape. Snow clung to the edges of the building, and icicles hung like jagged teeth from the roof, adding to the foreboding ambience. Yet, despite its rugged exterior, the station appeared remarkably well maintained, as if it had been waiting patiently for the return of its inhabitants. As the team stepped inside, they were immediately struck by the contrast between the station's exterior and its unsettling interior. The moment they crossed the threshold, a heavy silence enveloped them, swallowing any sounds of their arrival. The air was still, almost suffocating, and the absence of life was palpable. The interior was meticulously organized, with scientific equipment and research materials neatly arranged, yet it felt devoid of warmth and humanity. Desks were cluttered with half-finished projects, and the faint scent of antiseptic lingered in the air, a reminder of the sterile environment that had once buzzed with activity. However, the most disconcerting aspect of the station was the eerie stillness that permeated every corner. There were no voices, no laughter, no signs of the researchers who had once filled the space with their presence. The team exchanged uneasy glances, their hearts pounding in their chests as they realized the gravity of the situation. Communication devices lay silent, their screens dark and unresponsive, a stark indication that something had gone terribly wrong. The absence of any messages or distress signals from the researchers sent a chill down their spines, amplifying the sense of dread that hung in the air. As they began their investigation, the unease deepened. Each creak of the floorboards echoed ominously in the silence, and the team members found themselves speaking in hushed tones, as if afraid to disturb the stillness that surrounded them. They moved cautiously through the various rooms, each one revealing more unsettling details. The common area, once a hub of collaboration and camaraderie, was now a ghostly reminder of the lives that had been abruptly interrupted. Chairs were pushed back from tables, as if the researchers had left in a hurry, and personal belongings were scattered about, hinting at a sudden departure. The kitchen, too, bore the marks of abandonment. Dishes remained unwashed in the sink, and food items were left out, frozen in time. The stark contrast between the station's pristine condition and the unsettling absence of its inhabitants created a dissonance that gnawed at the team's nerves. It was as if they had stepped into a time capsule, frozen in a moment of chaos and confusion. As they delved deeper into the investigation, the sense of unease grew heavier. Shadows seemed to flicker at the edges of their vision, and the silence felt almost oppressive, as if the station itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The team could not shake the feeling that they were not alone, that the echoes of the past lingered in the air, whispering secrets that were just out of reach. With each passing moment, the unsettling silence of Northwatch Research Base transformed from a mere absence of sound into a haunting presence, urging them to uncover the truth behind the mystery that had unfolded within its walls. As the team explored the eerie confines of Northwatch Research Base, a sense of urgency propelled them forward, driven by an instinctual need to uncover the truth behind the researchers' disappearance. Their investigation led them to a heavy, locked door at the end of a dimly lit corridor, marked with a faded sign that read laboratory. The door stood ominously, a barrier between them and whatever secrets lay hidden within. The team exchanged anxious glances, their hearts racing as they contemplated the implications of breaching this threshold. With no key in sight, they quickly gathered tools from their equipment, determined to force their way inside. The sound of metal scraping against metal echoed through the stillness, amplifying their growing sense of dread. As they worked, the air thickened with tension, each moment stretching into eternity. Finally, with a resounding crack, the door yielded to their efforts, swinging open to reveal a scene that would haunt them forever. Inside the lab, the atmosphere was suffocating, heavy with an unsettling silence that seemed to pulse with an unseen energy. The room was dimly lit, the flickering fluorescent lights casting eerie shadows across the walls. The sight that greeted them was both shocking and grim. Tables were strewn with scientific equipment, but it was the contents of the room that sent chills down their spines. Papers lay scattered across the floor, some torn and crumpled, while others were covered in frantic scrawls, mysterious writings that hinted at a descent into madness. The researchers' expressions of fear were palpable in the remnants of their work. One table held a series of vials, some shattered, their contents oozing a viscous liquid that glimmered ominously in the low light. The walls were adorned with hastily drawn diagrams and notes, depicting bizarre experiments and incomprehensible theories. It was clear that something had gone terribly wrong within these walls, and the team felt the weight of desperation that hung in the air like a thick fog. As they sifted through the chaotic remnants of the lab, The team members exchanged horrified glances, their minds racing to comprehend the implications of what they were witnessing. The writings spoke of fear and paranoia, detailing the researchers' growing sense of dread as they delved deeper into their studies. Phrases like "the unknown is awakening" and "we are not alone" sent shivers down their spines, igniting a primal fear that clawed at their insides. It was as if the researchers had been grappling with forces beyond their understanding, their desperation spilling onto the pages in a frantic attempt to document their unraveling sanity. The theme of desperation permeated the room, a haunting reminder of the lengths to which the human mind could be pushed when faced with the unknown. The team felt a chilling connection to the researchers, as if they were standing on the precipice of the same abyss. The air grew heavy with the weight of their discovery, and the realization that they were now entangled in a narrative far darker than they had anticipated. As they continued to explore the lab, the sense of foreboding deepened. The walls seemed to close in around them, and the flickering lights cast long, distorted shadows that danced menacingly. The unknown loomed large, a specter that threatened to consume them just as it had the researchers before them. With each passing moment, the team felt the grip of fear tighten, a reminder that they were not merely observers in this chilling tale, but active participants in a mystery that defied explanation. The locked lab had revealed its grim contents, but it had also opened the door to a world of terror that they could scarcely comprehend. As the team delved deeper into the mysteries of Northwatch Research Base, they turned their attention to the array of environmental sensors that had been monitoring the Arctic conditions. The screens flickered to life, displaying a series of erratic data readings that left them both puzzled and alarmed. The temperature fluctuations were extreme, oscillating wildly between unseasonably warm and bone-chilling cold, defying the predictable patterns they had expected in such a remote location. The atmospheric pressure readings were equally erratic, spiking and plummeting without any discernible cause, as if the very air around them was in a state of turmoil. As they scrutinized the data, a sense of unease settled over the team. The sensors also logged unusual electromagnetic activity, with spikes that suggested a pulsing energy in the air. It was as if the environment itself was alive, throbbing with an unseen force that defied explanation. The readings were unlike anything they had encountered in their previous research, and the implications were both thrilling and terrifying. Was this energy a natural phenomenon, or was it something more sinister? The team exchanged worried glances, each member grappling with the unsettling possibility that they were on the brink of uncovering something far beyond their understanding. Determined to make sense of the anomalies, the team set up additional equipment to gather more data. They deployed portable sensors around the station, hoping to capture the source of the strange readings. As they worked, the tension in the air grew palpable, thickening with each passing moment. The flickering lights overhead seemed to pulse in time with the erratic data, casting an eerie glow that heightened their sense of foreboding. As they analyzed the incoming data, the team members began to experience a growing sense of disorientation. The readings fluctuated wildly, and the once familiar patterns of the Arctic environment felt increasingly alien. The pulsing energy they had detected seemed to resonate within them, creating a disconcerting sensation that made it difficult to focus. They could feel the weight of the unknown pressing down on them, a reminder that they were venturing into uncharted territory. Frustration mounted as they struggled to interpret the data. The anomalies defied logic, and the team found themselves caught in a web of confusion. They debated theories, each suggestion met with skepticism as they grappled with the implications of their findings. Was it a natural occurrence, perhaps linked to the shifting climate? Or was it something more ominous? A manifestation of the station's dark history? The question swirled in their minds, each one more unsettling than the last. As the hours passed, the tension reached a breaking point. The pulsing energy in the air seemed to intensify, creating an almost electric atmosphere that left them on edge. The team members exchanged nervous glances, acutely aware of the growing sense of dread that accompanied their investigation. It was as if the station itself was alive, watching them, waiting for them to uncover its secrets. In their attempts to understand the strange environmental readings, the team found themselves grappling not only with the data but also with their own fears. The unknown loomed larger than ever, a shadow that threatened to engulf them as they ventured deeper into the heart of the mystery. With each passing moment, the sense of urgency grew, propelling them forward even as the weight of uncertainty threatened to pull them back. They were on the brink of a revelation, but the path ahead was fraught with danger, and the pulsing energy in the air served as a chilling reminder of the risks they faced in their quest for understanding. As the investigation at Northwatch Research Base progressed, the team began to experience a series of unsettling sounds that seemed to echo through the corridors of the research station. At first, the noises were subtle, faint whispers that danced just beyond the edge of comprehension. But as the days wore on, the sounds grew more pronounced, each one adding to the mounting tension that gripped the team. One team member, Jessica, reported hearing a low, rhythmic thumping that resonated through the walls, as if something was beating against the very structure of the station. She described it as a heartbeat, steady yet ominous, and it sent chills down her spine. "It's like the station is alive," she said, her voice trembling. "I can feel it pulsing, almost as if it's responding to us." Her words hung in the air, igniting a flicker of fear in the others. Another member, John, claimed to have heard distant voices, indistinct yet haunting, drifting through the hallways. "I swear I heard someone calling my name," he insisted, his eyes wide with disbelief. "But when I turned around, there was no one there." The psychological impact of these sounds began to take its toll on the team, as they found themselves questioning their own perceptions. Was it exhaustion playing tricks on their minds? Or was there something more sinister at work? As the days turned into nights, the unsettling sounds continued to plague them. Julie, the team's geologist, reported a series of sharp, scratching noises that seemed to come from the walls themselves. "It's like something is trying to get in," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I can hear it clawing at the surface." The thought of an unseen presence lurking just beyond their sight sent shivers down their spines, amplifying their sense of paranoia. The cumulative effect of these noises began to erode the team's sense of reality. Each member found themselves on edge, their nerves frayed by the constant barrage of unsettling sounds. They gathered in the common area, sharing their experiences, but instead of finding solace, they only fueled each other's fears. The atmosphere grew thick with tension, and the once cohesive team began to fracture under the weight of their collective anxiety. As the sounds persisted, the line between sanity and madness blurred. The team members exchanged wary glances, each one silently questioning their own mental state. Were they truly hearing these things? Or were they succumbing to the isolation and stress of their environment? The uncertainty gnawed at them, creating a pervasive sense of dread that hung in the air like a storm cloud. One night, as they huddled together in the common area, the sounds crescendoed into a cacophony of chaos, The rhythmic thumping, the distant voices, and the scratching all converged into a nightmarish symphony that echoed through the station. Panic set in as they realized they were not just hearing things. They were experiencing a collective breakdown. "What if we're not alone?" Jessica whispered, her voice trembling with fear. "What if something is watching us?" The paranoia reached a fever pitch, and the team members found themselves jumping at every creak of the floorboards or gust of wind. They began to isolate themselves, retreating into their rooms, haunted by the sounds that seemed to follow them wherever they went. The once thriving camaraderie of the team was replaced by suspicion and fear, as they questioned not only their surroundings but also each other. In the oppressive silence that followed the cacophony, the team was left to grapple with the psychological impact of the unsettling sounds. The haunting echoes of their fears reverberated through the station, a constant reminder of the unknown lurking just beyond their grasp. As they faced the darkness together, they were forced to confront the terrifying possibility that the true horror of Northwatch Research Base lay not in the environment itself, but in the unraveling of their own minds. As the team continued their investigation within the confines of Northwatch Research Base, their attention was drawn to a peculiar crystalline object nestled among the scattered remnants of the lab. It sat on a cluttered table, partially obscured by papers and equipment, but its unsettling appearance was impossible to ignore. The object was roughly the size of a human fist, its surface glimmering with an otherworldly sheen that shifted colors in the dim light, deep blues and purples swirling like a storm trapped within its transparent depths. Jagged edges protruded from its form, giving it a menacing quality, as if it were a shard of ice that had been forged in the heart of a tempest. As the team gathered around the artifact, an inexplicable energy seemed to radiate from it, creating a palpable tension in the air. The moment they drew closer, they felt an unsettling pull, as if the object was beckoning them to reach out and touch it. Jessica, who had been the first to spot it, felt a strange compulsion to pick it up, but she hesitated, a sense of foreboding washing over her. "What if it's dangerous?" she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. The others exchanged uneasy glances, their instincts warning them that this object was not merely a scientific curiosity. Despite their apprehension, the team knew they had to analyze the crystalline artifact. They carefully transported it to the main lab, placing it under the scrutiny of their equipment. As they set up spectrometers and other analytical tools, the atmosphere grew thick with anticipation. Each member of the team felt a mix of excitement and dread, aware that this object could hold the key to understanding the bizarre events that had unfolded at the station. Yet, as they began their analysis, they quickly realized that the crystalline object was unlike anything they had encountered before. The readings were erratic, fluctuating wildly as if the artifact itself was resisting their attempts to categorize it. The spectrometer displayed data that defied explanation, unfamiliar wavelengths and frequencies that sent shivers down their spines. John, who had been tasked with documenting the findings, felt a creeping sense of unease as he watched the numbers dance across the screen. "It's almost as if it's alive," he remarked, his brow furrowing in confusion. The team's excitement began to morph into anxiety as they struggled to make sense of the artifact's properties. As they continued their analysis, the effects of the crystalline object on the team became increasingly apparent. Members reported feelings of disorientation and unease, as if the very air around them had thickened. Julie, who had been examining the object closely, suddenly staggered back, clutching her head. "It's like a pressure building up inside my mind," She gasped, her eyes wide with fear. The others rushed to her side, concern etched on their faces. But even as they tried to comfort her, they couldn't shake the feeling that the object was somehow influencing their thoughts and emotions. The suspense surrounding the crystalline artifact deepened as they began to connect it to the station's unsettling events. The erratic environmental readings, the strange sounds, and the researchers' frantic writings all seemed to converge around this mysterious object. Was it a catalyst for the chaos that had unfolded? Or was it a remnant of something far more sinister? The questions loomed large, casting a shadow over their investigation. As the team grappled with the implications of their discovery, the atmosphere in the lab grew increasingly charged. The crystalline object pulsed softly, its color shifting in a mesmerizing dance that seemed to draw them in. They were caught in a web of curiosity and fear, aware that they were on the brink of uncovering a truth that could change everything. With each passing moment, the connection between the artifact and the station's dark history became more pronounced, and the team found themselves teetering on the edge of a revelation that could either illuminate their path or plunge them deeper into the abyss of the unknown. As the days dragged on at Northwatch Research Base, the team's sense of isolation deepened, exacerbated by a troubling breakdown of communication and the failure of their equipment. The once reliable radio systems, which had allowed them to maintain contact with the outside world, fell silent, leaving them cut off from any semblance of normalcy. Attempts to reach their base of operations yielded nothing but static, a haunting reminder of their remoteness. The sense of being trapped in a frozen wasteland began to gnaw at their psyches, amplifying the already palpable tension that hung in the air. The failure of their scientific equipment only added to their growing unease. Instruments that had functioned flawlessly in the past began to malfunction, displaying erratic readings or shutting down entirely. The spectrometers, which had once provided crucial data on the crystalline object, now flickered ominously before going dark. The team members exchanged worried glances, their frustration mounting as they struggled to understand the cause of these malfunctions. Each failure felt like a personal affront, a reminder that they were at the mercy of forces beyond their control. As the isolation set in, the team's mental state began to deteriorate. The oppressive silence of the station, punctuated only by the unsettling sounds that had plagued them, created an atmosphere thick with anxiety. Sleep became elusive, and the once cohesive group found themselves haunted by nightmares that blurred the lines between reality and imagination. Jessica, who had always been the most optimistic, began to withdraw, her laughter replaced by a distant gaze that spoke of her inner turmoil. John, too, felt the weight of despair pressing down on him, his usual bravado crumbling as he grappled with the suffocating sense of dread that enveloped them. As fear took hold, the team members began to turn on one another, their paranoia festering like an open wound. Small disagreements escalated into heated arguments, each accusation laced with suspicion. "You're not taking this seriously," Julie snapped at John one evening, her voice rising in frustration. "We need to focus on the data, not on your wild theories." The tension in the room crackled like static, and the air felt charged with hostility. The once supportive environment had devolved into a battleground of mistrust, where every word was scrutinized, and every glance was interpreted as a sign of betrayal. The conflicts between team members grew more frequent and intense, fueled by the isolation that had begun to warp their perceptions. They found themselves questioning each other's motives, wondering if someone among them was hiding information or even sabotaging their efforts. "What if one of us is losing it?" John suggested one night, his voice barely above a whisper. "What if we can't trust each other anymore?" The suggestion hung in the air like a dark cloud, and the team fell silent, each member grappling with the implications of his words. As the days turned into a blur of anxiety and conflict, the team's sense of reality began to unravel. They became hyper-aware of their surroundings, every creak of the station echoing ominously in their minds. The crystalline object, once a source of intrigue, now felt like a malevolent presence, its connection to the station's dark history amplifying their fears. The isolation, coupled with the escalating tension, created a perfect storm of paranoia that threatened to consume them. In the midst of this turmoil, the team members found themselves trapped in a cycle of fear and suspicion, their bonds fraying under the strain. The once unified group was now a collection of individuals, each battling their own demons while simultaneously questioning the sanity of their companions. The isolation of Northwatch Research Base had transformed from a mere physical barrier into a psychological prison, and as they faced the unknown together, they were forced to confront not only the darkness outside but also the shadows that lurked within themselves. The tension within Northwatch Research Base reached a boiling point as the team found themselves on the precipice of a decision that would change everything. The chaotic events leading up to this moment had been a whirlwind of fear, paranoia, and desperation. The once cohesive group had splintered into factions, each member grappling with their own demons while struggling to maintain a semblance of unity. The unsettling sounds that had plagued them grew louder, echoing through the corridors like a sinister symphony, and the crystalline object seemed to pulse with an energy that both fascinated and terrified them. It was during one particularly harrowing night that the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The lights flickered ominously, casting long shadows that danced across the walls, and the temperature in the station plummeted, sending chills down their spines. Jessica, who had been monitoring the environmental readings, suddenly screamed, her voice piercing through the oppressive silence. "The readings are off the charts. Something is happening." Her eyes were wide with terror, and the frantic energy in the room was palpable. The team gathered around the monitors, their hearts racing as they watched the data spike wildly. The pulsing energy they had felt before now manifested as a tangible force, vibrating through the very air they breathed. John, his face pale and drawn, turned to the others, desperation etched in his features. "We can't stay here. We need to find out what's causing this." His voice trembled, but there was a fierce determination behind it. The others nodded, their fear morphing into a collective resolve. But the question remained, what lay beyond the door they had previously avoided? The door to the locked lab loomed before them, a barrier that had kept them from confronting the unknown. It was a threshold they had hesitated to cross, but now it felt like the only option left. Julie, her hands shaking, stepped forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "We have to open it. We need to face whatever is behind that door." The emotional turmoil was evident in her eyes, a mixture of fear and determination that resonated with the others. They were all haunted by the same question: what horrors awaited them on the other side? As they prepared to breach the door, the atmosphere grew thick with impending doom. The sounds intensified, a cacophony of whispers and thumps that seemed to echo their fears. Each member of the team felt the weight of their decision pressing down on them, a suffocating reminder of the stakes involved. They exchanged glances, each one silently questioning their sanity, but the urgency of the moment propelled them forward. With a deep breath, Jessica took the lead, her heart pounding in her chest. "On 3, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. 1, 2, 3. They pushed against the door, and it creaked open, revealing a darkness that seemed to swallow the light. The air was thick with an oppressive energy, and as they stepped inside, the temperature dropped even further, wrapping around them like a shroud. What lay beyond the door was a scene of chaos, papers scattered, equipment overturned, and the remnants of the researchers' frantic attempts to escape. The crystalline object pulsed ominously in the center of the room, its color swirling in a mesmerizing yet terrifying dance. The team felt a wave of despair wash over them as they confronted the reality of their situation. They were not just facing an unseen force, they were confronting their own fears, their own failures, and the darkness that had seeped into their minds. As they stood in the heart of the storm, the sense of impending doom loomed larger than ever. The whispers grew louder, drowning out their thoughts, and the pulsing energy seemed to reach out, wrapping around them like a vice. In that moment, they realized that the true battle was not just against the unseen force that haunted the station, but against the darkness within themselves. With their hearts racing and their minds clouded by fear, they prepared to confront the unknown, knowing that the outcome could seal their fates forever. The aftermath of the team's harrowing experience at Northwatch Research Base was marked by a profound sense of relief mixed with an overwhelming dread that clung to them like a second skin. After breaching the door to the locked lab, they had confronted the crystalline artifact and the unseen force that had tormented them for so long. The escape from the station was chaotic, a frantic rush fueled by adrenaline and the desperate need to flee the oppressive atmosphere that had nearly consumed them. As they stumbled out into the biting cold of the Arctic night, the eerie silence that followed felt both liberating and suffocating. The howling winds that had once echoed through the corridors of the station now seemed muted, as if the very landscape was holding its breath. The team members huddled together, their breaths visible in the frigid air, each one grappling with the weight of what they had just endured. The isolation of the Arctic felt more pronounced than ever, a stark reminder of their vulnerability in the face of the unknown. As they trudged away from the station, the shadows of their experience loomed large, casting a pall over their escape. In the days that followed, the lingering effects of their ordeal became painfully evident. Jessica, once the most optimistic of the group, now carried a haunted look in her eyes. She found herself plagued by nightmares, visions of the crystalline object and the chaos that had unfolded within the station. The weight of her memories pressed down on her, and she struggled to shake the feeling that something was still watching her, lurking just beyond her perception. The vibrant energy she had once brought to the team had dimmed, replaced by a cautious wariness that left her feeling isolated even among her friends. John, too, was deeply affected by their experience. The bravado he had displayed during their investigation had crumbled, leaving behind a shell of the confident man he once was. He often stared into the distance, lost in thought, as if trying to piece together the fragments of their experience. The sounds that had haunted them in the station now echoed in his mind, a constant reminder of the fear that had gripped him. He found it difficult to trust his own perceptions, questioning whether he was truly safe or if the darkness they had faced was still lurking, waiting for the right moment to strike again. Julie, who had been the most vocal about confronting the artifact, now grappled with a profound sense of guilt. She felt responsible for their decision to open the door, convinced that her insistence had led them into the heart of the chaos. The weight of her choices bore down on her, and she often found herself replaying the events in her mind, searching for signs that could have changed their fate. The once thriving camaraderie among the team had fractured, and she felt the distance growing between them, a chasm created by their shared trauma. As they attempted to return to their normal lives, the idea of the artifact's continued presence loomed large in their minds. They had left Northwatch Research Base behind, but the crystalline object remained a haunting specter, a reminder of the darkness they had encountered. The implications of its existence weighed heavily on them, raising questions that lingered like shadows in their thoughts. What had they unleashed? Was it truly gone, or had they merely postponed the inevitable? The team members found themselves drawn together by their shared experience, yet the bond they once had felt fragile, strained by the weight of their trauma. They often gathered to discuss their feelings, but the conversations were tinged with an unspoken fear, a reluctance to confront the reality of what they had faced. The artifact, with its mysterious energy and unsettling allure, became a symbol of their ordeal, a reminder that some mysteries were better left unexplored. In the quiet moments, as they reflected on their time at Northwatch Research Base, they couldn't shake the feeling that their lives had been irrevocably altered. The Arctic landscape, once a backdrop for scientific exploration, now felt like a prison of memories, a reminder of the darkness that had seeped into their souls. The echoes of their experience would follow them, a haunting reminder that the unknown was never truly gone, and that the shadows of Northwatch Research Base would linger long after they had escaped its grasp. If you found this exploration of Northwatch Research Base captivating, we encourage you to engage with our content further. Subscribe to our channel for more thrilling stories that delve into the mysteries of the unknown, the psychological depths of human experience, and the chilling tales that keep us on the edge of our seats. Don't forget to like this video and share it with friends who enjoy a good mystery or a spine-tingling narrative. Your support helps us continue to create content that sparks curiosity and ignites discussions about the fascinating and sometimes terrifying realms of science, exploration, and the human condition. We want to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about the events at Northwatch Research Base? Have you ever experienced a moment of isolation that changed your perspective? Your insights are invaluable to us, and we look forward to engaging with you in the comments section. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the mysteries that lie just beyond the horizon.